Yeah, what do you want to? How do you want to start this? So, should we talk about like what we're doing today?
Yeah, I think that would be the best thing is just
Good
have a
place to
little
start.
intro of like what we're even doing today, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so it's good to finally chat because we said we're going to do this for a while, and today we're going to be talking through our both of our like top nine, right? For
Yeah,
like
top
leagues,
nine.
a top nine leagues, five regions, and seeing whether we disagree on stuff because I'm sure we will, right?
Oh, I hope so. I'm like the scariest thing is when you show me your list and we just have 100% agreeing and there's just nothing to talk about for like that would be
There's
the
no
weirdest
shot.
thing. So yeah,
There is no shot. Should we start? Shall I send you my list?
yeah, I'm down. I'm down. I want to see it because this is really gonna determine how interesting this video is.
Oh, for sure. Okay. All right, ready?
Yeah,
Region reveal. Our top
and
nines in three, two, one.
yeah, there's a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
differences. There are a lot
Oh,
of
there's a lot
differences
of
here.
differences.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, god
That's good.
damn.
Very
Okay.
good. Very good.
So,
Well,
oh man, okay.
yeah. Wow.
Where
That's
do we
that's
start? I think our,
uh
our eight and nine are practically the same though, right?
no, I disagree. I super disagree. I think the order matters a lot in those.
Oh,
Um,
what so your number nine is Wildy.
yeah, so I'll basically just start adding stuff to it and then we can kind of go in. So my number nine, wait, I have caps lock on. My number nine is Wildy.
Yeah.
Your number nine is Tirranwn, right?
Run one. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, we're not going to talk about this yet because we're going to wait till it shows up. However, my number 8 is Tirranwn. So that's now we'll talk about
Okay.
Tirranwn and I want to see why Tirranwn's your number 9 and I have to I guess defend it as number 8.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I put some notes together because I was like,
Oh
how
yeah,
am I going
okay.
to defend this? How am I going to justify putting Tirranwn and upset a lot of people in last place? But I literally wrote, hear me out. Just hear me out. It's a genuinely great region, right? For like all combat styles. Like you've got all the stuff that you'll get from Zora and CG. But in my opinion, that is it. Like that is all there is in Tirranwn is Zora, CG. You can make an argument for like it being good for skilling with Zalcano and stuff, but
But that's
like
not even that
I
good. Zalcato's not even that good. That's the
yeah,
problem. Like it's
someone
rough.
out there and someone out there's gonna be like, but dude, you forgot about the red chins. It's like, yeah, it's not really enough. It just feels like there's nothing there. What do you like? What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I feel like it feels like Tirranwn is a skilling region, but it doesn't have
Yeah,
that many good skilling things. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the
yeah,
problem. It's like it's not enough to be like I think that strong on its own. And then like the problem is though is like I like Corrupted Gauntlet and I like Zulrah, but
mm,
at the same time I also feel like not being able to do like Zulrah with melee kind of stinks. And then like
mm,
Corrupted Gauntlet can also be a bit of a chore depending on like what kind of like relics you have and stuff. Obviously we don't know relics and stuff like that, so we're
yeah,
not trying to like tell you what's the best, but like yeah, I don't know. I feel like when you have to do like all the prep and stuff like that, like getting your weapons and the
yeah.
like food, like it is kind of cool when like you do get a relic that speeds that up, but it's like it's so dependent on what the relics are that I feel like even with good relics, it's still like pretty low tier for me. That's
Yeah,
kind of
and
why.
like I feel like they're two bosses that really suck when you go dry on them as well. Like I just don't feel they're I think Zora is actually just a fun PVM boss, but both of them I don't think they're fun enough that once you go dry, it's enough to keep you there. Like you could what's always amazed me about Tirranwn, right, is you could draw like a border out of the entire region, cut half of it out, and you wouldn't lose anything.
That's
Like I
so
feel like
true.
half the
Yeah.
half the map is just like a wasteland, I swear.
Yeah, that's so true.
So
It's literally like if you had like Morytania with like just the swamp, it's like okay,
yeah.
nobody cares about that part.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
I think
So
one more thing is that like even the rewards, like the Bofa and the blowpipe, especially, like I feel like historically they also haven't really been that good in the league's format because like speeding up, obviously we don't know, but like if it was to speed up the blowpipe to be like a one tick weapon, that on paper sounds so cool, but like you can't actually really use it that much because you can't move. So yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Yeah. No,
It's just
100%. I
yeah.
think that was the issue in leagues too, wasn't it? Was blowpipe was insane back then.
Yes, it was insane back
And
then.
but like how many people could effectively use it to its full potential on like a one tick, it just wasn't possible.
Right.
So yeah, no, totally agree. So what do we think though, Ritwanran? Because I don't think there's much more to say about
No,
it.
I think
Your
that's
number
it.
9 is
Yeah.
Wildy. So like where do we stand on this? Does it
Well,
stay at number 9?
we would basically we would go to your 8 first. Is-
Okay.
And your 8 is Kandarin,
M-
right?
My number 8 is Kandarin.
Kandarin.
And I
Gotcha.
really thought when you sent me your list, right? And
Hmm.
your number 7 is Kandarin. I'm surprised because I thought you were a big like mage stan and like always stick by the book of like, pick Kandarin. It's a good skill in region. I don't know. I thought it would have been higher on your list. But
I
yeah, it's
it took me a lot. It took me a lot.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
struggling a lot with this one, but yeah, I think we talked about. So we were going to talk about Kandarin next because it's shown up both. It's your
Yeah.
8, my 7, basically.
Yeah.
Man, here's the thing about Kandarin. The problem that I am a Kandarin apologist. I love that region and like I think it's really good. I think my biggest problem with it is like it just gets boring later. Like
Yeah.
it just runs out of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And then I also think Kandarin has a super weird problem where it's like it's really good for melee for piety, but it sucks to do with melee. Like it is the worst region ever for melee
Yeah.
because you can't do Kraken. Thermo Nuclear Smoke Devil kind of sucks with melee. Like yeah, I don't know. This is one of those regions where like I am praying it gets saved by like the new changes with like echo bosses and whatnot, but
Mm.
yeah, it needs like something to make it good. So
And that's what we hope for, right? That the Echo boss in Kandarin makes up for the weakness, which is that it just doesn't really have much else going for it
mm,
for melee or even ranged people don't really get much out of Kandarin. Like Kandarin has always just been the region that you get your best in slot jewelry from, and then you move on.
yeah, and I don't like I just don't the hard part for me is thinking like what could even fix Kandarin, and I just
Yeah,
really don't know. Especially because like you mentioned that like I love the mage route, and I do think that is really cool. But like occult necklace has been nerfed pretty significantly since a lot of that
yeah,
mage percentage has been redistributed, which for leagues is actually awesome because I
yeah.
don't
It's
think you
great.
need Kandarin as much anymore. Like you can
Yeah,
probably get away without using the occult or without using a tormented bracelet if you can find that percentage somewhere else now instead.
yeah. No, totally agree. I don't think it's going to be like as as necessary a pick for
Hmm.
mage enjoyers, or even like I feel like for the max hits you get from the torture, or even like an anguish is kind of ignorable. So I feel like Kandarin genuinely this league will be less picked.
Yeah,
Probably a big claim, but I think
I
it will.
actually thought about like how good will Amulet of Torture be because you can get the new Amulet of
Yeah,
Rancor for
yeah,
Morytania, right? But
yeah,
like I feel like most of the time you'd probably run Blood Fury anyways if you have
yeah,
Morytania. So it's like,
yeah,
man, I don't know. It needs something, and I feel like that's why it's like I can't put it any higher than this. Like, and I already
yeah,
feel like 7 is like me squeezing it there because
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it needs help, big help.
Where did I put it? Let me have a quick
You,
look. Number 8.
number
So,
8,
yeah,
yeah.
again, same reasons as you, exactly the same reasons. And I guess we don't know like what impact the Echo boss is going to have, and I should probably caveat that for this whole thing is that we are not assuming that the Echo boss information is tied into this because it's not. So, this list post Echo boss announcement could look totally different for both of us, I'm sure. But right now, we're just going on the basis that we don't know what the Echo bosses are, what they give. But yeah, Kandarin near the bottom for me and you, right?
One thing I did want to talk about, again, obviously we don't know that much about Echo
Mm,
bosses, but I do feel like there could be a world where Kandarin is made better because the thermonuclear smoke devil, one of the big problems that you have in leagues is the fact that there's not an instance for it, right?
yeah,
And I think if the Echo boss variant actually had an instance, that would make that boss like way better, I think.
yeah.
Like because you wouldn't be competing with other players. And I think that's actually a cool way that they could add that like change. So,
Yeah, I wondered if that's how they would do it. Obviously, I don't really have any knowledge of
yep.
how they're doing it, but like I wondered if surely they're not gonna surely they're not just gonna replace some of those regions where there are very like sparing bosses with just Echo boss variants. That's gonna scare off a lot of people who
Mhm.
can't do it. So surely they've got to do it as like a right click instance option for like an Echo option, right? I hope so. I
I
hope
hope
so.
so. Okay, I also I had one idea, all right, because I think
Yeah.
that there is a world where Kandarin and Tirranwn become a lot better, all right? What if
Yeah,
we
go on.
have think about that? What if we have like a melee
You're
weapon
gonna
that
have to
like
sell this hard.
I know, no, but listen to me. What if we have like a melee weapon, but it's like the Master Sword in like Legend of Zelda, where like it shoots out like bolts ranged, so you could
Okay.
still hit. You could hit like the Kraken with a melee weapon. It would like scale with your melee, because then
Yeah,
that would
that would be
actually make
interesting.
things. Then you could do like Kriara, you could do Kraken, you could do Zulra, like all those. Suddenly you could do with like a melee setup now, and that's what got me thinking. I'm like, all right, there's a world. There's a world where we're still living with Kandarin.
Yeah. Yeah. It would have to be something huge though.
Yeah.
I guess we just don't know at this stage what that is. Um, so do we move on to the next
Yeah,
number?
I think that's pretty much it with Kandarin. I think we move on to
Okay.
your 7, which is the Wildy, right?
Yeah, so I mean our bottom three are the same, just like in a different order,
Rearranged.
right?
Yeah.
Like just this slightly different order. And the only reason I've put Wilderness near the bottom is I don't feel like anything you get from the Wilderness, people are going to come at me for saying this, but I don't feel like anything you get in the Wilderness carries over well to other regions. Like they're all great within the Wilderness, the rev weapons, sure the upgraded versions of them can be used like around the game, but it's really just for people who want to fuck around, have fun with friends, maybe do a bit of PKing. And I know a lot of people are against PKing in leagues, but I think like why pick the Wilderness if you're not gonna, you know, maybe skull up at some point, have some fun.
hmm
I just feel like it falls off really hard. Like it's great early, but I feel like it falls off. What are your thoughts? What do you think about the
Yeah,
Wilderness?
so the reason why I have it at like number 9, and I agree with you, like it's fun, but for me the problem is like there's no draw to the Wildy. There's nothing that I
Yeah,
look at the Wildy that I'm like genuinely excited to do. I could see myself having fun at Zulra. I can see myself, having some fun doing like some of the Kandarin, like demonic
yeah,
gorillas and whatnot. Like some of that stuff is kind of fun with all the leaks powers, but like Corp still sucks. All the Wildy bosses just kind of fall over, and like there's not really any crazy reward that you're really like looking for from the Wildy either.
yeah,
Like KBD sucks, and past that, like there's
yeah.
just like there's just nothing else that like I feel like makes me excited about the Wildy. So
Yeah. I guess it
um
depends. The big thing for me about Wildy, right, that could just spin this whole thing around for me, and I would end up putting Wildy much higher, is what the special attack relic is like this year. Because there's an argument that Void Waker would be incredible everywhere with the special attacking relic. But if it's anything like last year's relic, where it cuts down your HP and you can't use it too much, I still don't think it's gonna move it on the list. But it like the relic could save it. A relic could save
yeah,
it.
and if you remember, like the last year's relic also gave you 100% accuracy on your special
Yeah.
attacks, which is like the whole point of the Void Waker.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
that
like
was kind of
when you give the
counterintuitive.
Void Waker effect to literally every special attack, yeah, it kind of
Yeah,
nerfs the Void Waker relatively. So um
yeah,
I think for me, because you mentioned the rev weapons, I feel like if there was a change that allowed the rev weapons to be used in other regions,
yeah,
then the Wildy would probably go up like pretty substantially, because they are really cool weapons. They're just like you can't like they just help you kill Wildy bosses faster, which you already destroy with like a dragon scimitar. Like, so
and they did that
yeah.
in Deadman mode, didn't they?
Yeah,
So
exactly. And I love that. It was really fun to use
yeah,
them in Deadman mode. So that's what
yeah,
I'm hoping
really
to
hope.
see kind of come back.
And on that, like on that point, I actually think that this year's Deadman mode relics were like the best sigils, I should say, but you know what I mean. They're sigils.
Yeah.
Are like the best sigils slash relic ideas that have been in Deadman mode yet, and I really hope some of them do come into leagues. Like, I really hope they combine all the Clue Scroll relics into like an amazing Clue Scroll relic this year. And same for the like some of the Barrows relics that there were in Deadman mode. That would be great as well. But we'll see. I think like coming back to the wilderness, it's really hard for I think me and by the sounds of it, you to justify it coming into like the middle three, which is like the next step, right?
Yeah, it would need. I think it would need like some pretty big changes, kind of like what we talked about
Mhm.
Kandarin. But for me, I think even with all those changes, the fact that there's just not that much interesting content still kind of keeps it
Yeah.
pretty low. So
Question then:
hmm.
if Rathmore passed the polls, would it be higher on your list?
I don't think so. Not very much. I don't think I would be that sold on Rathma.
But it's a world boss, dude.
It is a
It's a
world
world boss in the
boss.
wilderness.
I know, but
Anyway.
like, what does it do? It makes my AGS stronger. Like, is that? It's
Yeah.
like it's. I do agree with you that like if you like the PKing thing though, obviously it's a no
Yeah.
brainer. You take it and like you have some fun. But like, I mean, that's what Deadman's for. So right, like,
Yeah, and I think Soul Wars kind of replaced that in Leagues 4, right? Like everyone was just going in Soul Wars and going at each other, and those poor melee pickers were just frozen and they could never move. That was
wait, can I?
great.
Okay, can I ask you because this is kind of like off topic, but
Yeah.
what do you think
Yeah.
about the people who would actually go like PK and Soul Wars when like everybody else was just like chilling and doing nothing?
I guess it depends because like there were two worlds, right? There was like the
Hmm.
world where it was run by that like clan chat that do it efficiently, like no killing, no fucking around, do it efficiently or get the fuck out. Like that's how they go by. And I
Hmm.
like that, and I think no PKing in that good. But I think people who PK'd in Soul Wars, you know what? I love it, and I think there needs to be more of it because for some people, that is their way of expressing their relic choices. Like they pick these relics because they want to see how it goes down in PvP or they think it's fun. Yeah, I like the PvP element. Why are
No,
you
I
going to say you
agree.
hate it?
No, I totally agree. I like.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. When it would happen and like somebody would go like kill the boss and you get like half of the zeal or whatever, like
Yeah.
yeah, it pissed me off a bit. But like at the same time, like you're playing a PvP minigame. Like you can't
Yeah.
complain if somebody's doing PvP in the minigame. Like that's kind of the
Yeah.
point. Like go do
Yeah.
pest control if you don't want to
Yeah,
fight someone
literally.
else.
Literally go do pest control or just, Tears of Guthix once a week. I don't know.
Uh,
Um
have you
yeah.
seen that they're planning on like basically nerfing the Solars and pest control? I think that's been pretty
Oh really?
teased. Yeah, I think they said that they don't want that to be like the meta now for like combat training.
Honestly, I was waiting and hoping that they would. It's one of the things that so I had another conversation with I can't remember who else now, but I had a similar conversation to this one uh, with someone else, and I just said that like I really hope Soul Wars and Pest Control are nerfed to the ground. Like I think it should still be viable for if you just need a couple levels for something. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Do you know? Are they nerfing
I
like the point
I
cap?
don't know. I think they just don't want
Thing?
that to be like the
Yeah.
thing that people do now, and they just sit there for like hours and hours.
Fair, honestly fair, because like I felt like you're not really playing leagues. If you're just spamming Soul Wars and pest control for the XP, I feel like it takes away from the experience.
Yeah, I think it's a good
Yeah,
change. I think it was necessary for sure.
yeah. So where are we? Where did we get to?
We are at well, we've gone through the bottom three, so I think now we're at the mid
Six.
three. So I think we'd start
So
with
what's your? Oh, our sixes are
oh,
the
our six are the
same.
same. Okay, that makes this part easier, and that
Yeah,
is Fremennik for both. Well, I guess we
Fremennik.
should
Go
talk
for
about
it.
it then.
Yeah, tell me what are your thoughts about
um,
Fremy?
yeah. So here, the thing with Fremy is, I feel like everybody values it low, and then it turns out it's good every single time. So like everybody always like laughs at it, says it sucks, the content's not fun. But then if you actually have
Yeah,
played Fremennik, like it's really not that bad for leagues, and it has like a lot of like good like merits and stuff like that. Um, the I think the bosses are not the best. Like Vorkath, I think a lot of people just hate it because they've done it so many
oh,
times in the main game.
yeah, yeah,
Dagonoth Kings are pretty boring, I would say, and like Duke, sadly, that with like having to prep every time, I think that makes the Duke like one of the worst bosses in leagues, just because there's a lot of
yeah,
downtime where you're not really getting any benefit.
yeah.
But like overall, the region just has a lot. Like there's just a lot of good stuff in Fremennik.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's exactly what I thought before putting this list together was that I tried to sum it up in like as few words possible, and it's literally just Vorkath, Basilisk Knights, Duke, Muspur, Dagonoth Kings. But when you actually break down how different those experiences are across those PVM things, because that's the main thing I focus on anyway, is like what PVM things are there to do in the region.
Mhm.
And I think there's actually a good amount there. The items you get from those are really good. And we know that the DKs, or at least we think we know from the trailer, right? That the DKs are the Echo boss in Fremy. So I'm really interested to see if that is just one of the DKs or whether all three of them are like enhanced to be a bit more complicated, which would actually make it, in my opinion, a really fun PVM encounter. If you've got to deal with like this tribrid situation that's even harder than before. I think it could be fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like my problem was always like I remember in Leagues 2, I picked it. I did like maybe 20 Dagannoth Kings, and there was a task to kill each one 750 times. And I was like, okay, well, this is the
Nah.
worst thing ever. Like I am not doing
Yeah,
this.
no.
But if it's an actual fun PVM encounter that also, by the way, is unique to Leagues, like you can't do this in the main game, like that's really cool. And I could see myself like easily dropping, a couple hundred kills on like a new Dagannoth Kings experience that actually has like some more mechanics going on.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, fingers crossed it's all three of them, because I feel like just one of them getting a slightly different mechanic might still be boring. But
Oh, it's just Rex,
yeah.
and he's just 3 times bigger and just slaps you with hundreds. Yeah. That's it.
I mean, that would be fun. That would still be fun potentially, until you save slot him in exactly the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Fremy being 6, we're pretty locked in on that.
I think so. Yeah.
Feel good about that, and I don't know if it's just like Jagex propaganda at this stage in the League's Discord, but a lot of people are saying that Fremy's going to be good this year. So I hope it is. I'm thinking about picking it on one playthrough anyway.
I think it would be kind of funny because I think the last couple of times it's always been like undervalued, and then it turns out good, and now that people are sort of like warming up to it, turns out it actually just sucks this year. Like that would be the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's all hinging on what the Echo Boss does as well. So
yeah,
we'll see. All right, moving on then. So number 5, are ours the same? No, they're very different. You've got Varlamore, and I've got Morytania.
Okay, so I'm gonna put Varlamore for me. I have Morytania a lot higher, so I think we'll move on, and then until we find the next, I guess, point.
Yeah, let's move on for now until we come to like a clash again. Yeah. So your number 4 is Asgarnia, and mine is the desert. So again, I think our like top 5 regions are totally different.
Very different. Yeah, this is where it's gonna get like pretty tough, I think, because we're basically gonna have to keep going back till we find the next like common point. So I have desert a lot higher as well. so I think I'll do my number 3, which is Zeah. Right, as Zeah we mean Karend, right? Because we're splitting. Yeah, just because I know some people are like,
I've done the
same. Technically, Zeah is both continents. I'm like, no, shut up.
I know, it's but Zeah. Like just for like putting a 1 letter next to a region, you can't have 2 Ks.
Yes, so we're exactly. Saying Zeah. That's why I say Zeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but your number 3 now is Varlamore. So I think now we can talk about Varlamore basically because it's shown up. Mine's number 5, yours number 3.
Okay, so I've got Varlamore a lot higher.
Yep.
But I have to admit that I think it is for slightly selfish reasons, in the sense of that I think Varlamore is, in my opinion, the strongest first region pick now. That's what I genuinely think. Because there's so much going for it in the early game. The only reason it's not higher on my list is because it falls off. Like everything there is mid game, right? I guess you could argue that the Colosseum's got some like more late game like upgrades for you, but even then they're not really best in slot other than the Quiver. So I've put Varlamore higher, mainly because I think that Russian, Perilous Moons or Hunter's Rumors for like early money, things like that, or the tasks behind them. I just think that in the basis of league points and like progressing you through quicker, I think it's a really good region.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where do you put it? You put it at 5, right?
Yeah, I put it a little bit lower, but I actually really like what you said about the early game region, because that was a big reason why I always was huge on Kandarin. I think Kandarin was like the best early game region in the past.
Yeah, it was.
And now I'm definitely thinking like, Varlamore, I could see it taking that place. So I think that Varlamore is pretty damn good, and I know a lot of people are gonna, just for the novelty of a new region, like that's always gonna be a really exciting thing. I think that for me, I feel like I still need to like kind of figure out where it rests with everything, just because there is a lot of like PVM content. I'm sure. Have you seen that Vardorvis is being moved to Varlamore now as well?
Yeah, that's that's just another reason why it's a great pick, I think.
And I think that's good.
Have they confirmed if we're going to be able to get the Soul Reaper axe from just one DT2 boss?
I don't think they've confirmed that, but I'd say I'm like 99% sure, because Otherwise, you would never be able to get it because it would require 4
Yeah.
regions. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm pretty sure you can get it, which is cool.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I would have to just I would have to just see how some of the stuff plays out. As for like melee weapons, I mean, you would if you could get the Soul Reaper Axe, that's awesome. Um,
Mm.
I really am curious how the dual paddles, the McQuaddles from
Yeah.
Perilous Moons play out because that could be like
Yeah.
so much fun. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm interested on
And that's like
that.
one of the sets, right? That you could argue competes with some best in slot stuff because of
I
the unique mechanic, right?
Yeah, I think people have to see like how all the math comes out, but I
Mm.
could definitely I think people are right now the theory is that it comes out to essentially like 1.5 tick with the set
Right.
and the McQuaddles,
Yeah.
which is like
That's
pretty
insane.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously again it's super dependent on combat relics, so like I don't want to say for
Mm.
sure like oh this is going to be the best in slot melee, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um yeah, I think it has a lot of like variety of content. Now that there's some of the like the end game content with like Coliseum and stuff like that. I think the only thing that was keeping Varlamore a bit down for me was mainly the fact that I don't know how Perilous Moons is gonna feel to
Mm.
actually do because there's so much downtime
Like
where you're running
early.
between stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that
You mean
kind
like
of
early? Like if you just picked Varlamore?
well, yeah, but also like
Mm.
even with like let's say you have like absolute max gear, right? It's still gonna feel awful running between the different bosses and like waiting for the blue moon guy to put your weapon in a ice cube
Oh
and you're just
yeah.
sitting like
Oh
like
man.
that to me I was thinking I'm like oh man I'm so scared that I'm gonna get baited by this region and then just sit there for a
Yeah.
minute and hate it every single time like yeah that's
Yeah.
the scary part.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think that gets any better with Relics, sadly, does it? Because the
I
travel
don't
time
think
between
so.
the bosses
It wouldn't
is
change anything.
long, and they're kind of designed in a way to slow the fight down just innately, right? So, yeah, no, I totally agree. But I feel like it is a piece of content that unfortunately, and it's why it's number 3 for me and no higher, because I could make an argument for it being higher if it wasn't for the fact that once you have your Perilous Moons gear, whatever set you want to go for, you could argue there's no reason to go back, you know? Like Vardorvis, obviously, but the other content in Varlamore, I think, isn't great. Like the Hui Quattle, or however you pronounce it,
Mhm.
that the rewards from that aren't really great for leagues, in my opinion. I don't think you're going to find loads of use for a Dragon Hunter one, but I could be wrong. What do you
I
think?
do. I was thinking like a couple of interesting things where I feel like ranged, like again with the combat relics, like I think something like a ranged style in Varlamore might work, where you have the quiver, you're getting the hunter's crossbow, which might be pretty
Yeah,
nifty. We'll see.
yeah,
3 tick isn't the best usually, but hey,
yeah,
who knows what happens? It is a crossbow. Remember last league's crossbows were insane, right?
yeah. That's
Oh, but it
true.
wouldn't be able to shoot bolts. So actually, I don't know. I don't actually know how that would work because it has its own
Yeah, it
unique
doesn't.
bolts,
Yeah.
right? So
And the other issue with the bolts as well is they're locked behind that pretty hefty hunter level.
oh
So
yeah,
like you're gonna be stuck doing a lot of skilling in between all of that. So like it is good, but by the time you've like the time you have to invest to get a Sunlight Hunter's crossbow with Moonlight antler bolts, you could have a full set of Perilous Moons gear or have your rune crossbow in another region. So I
right.
do think it will be fun and someone will do it. Like someone out there will do it and you'll see a post on Reddit being like, this is ridiculously OP. But it's just a big investment, isn't it?
Yeah, there's like a couple other things actually on the skilling side, if we can talk about that for Varlamore,
Yeah,
that I
yeah, yeah.
do think
Yeah.
are like a big draw. Um, I mean, everybody loves Trickster. Varlamore pickpocketing is Trickster Relic,
Yeah.
basically. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What else? Hunter rumors. If the Hunter rumor list
Yeah.
works kind of like the Slayer task list, where you're only given regions that you can actually go for, you can actually
Yeah.
set up like a really insanely
Yeah.
efficient Hunter rumor list. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a lot of fun for people to do. Um,
Yeah.
and they're not going to have to do the ones that they don't want, or even if they do, like
Yeah.
let's say you have to do like red chins and like Kandarin or Tirranwn, you'll just do that along with the rumors, and now you're basically doing like 2 tasks at once, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Exactly. I feel like it's a great piece of content to rush as well because, it is an Iron Man game mode. You will struggle at the very beginning for money unless there is another fire sale. We'll see. Um, but Hunter's Rumors, there's going to be loads of tasks behind it. It's going to give you, a ton of XP and some good loot from the sacks. But, as you say, There's lots of other content locked behind that as well. So it'd be interesting to see if people will set up a like an optimal Hunter's Rumors list. Like you just pick Varlamore as your first region, rush Hunter's Rumors, and then only get hunting tasks in Varlamore. You know?
I've done a little bit of look into it, and I think I found some
Yeah.
pretty good lists that you can get set up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that are
Exactly.
like very fine tuned to like maybe like if I'm not mistaken, I think you can get like just herbivore basically at the end game where you're just
That's
doing herbivore rumors. So
that would be pretty sick.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Especially because those tasks, I feel like you need a little bit of extra motivation to go and do sometimes. It's like, oh, catch 500 Herbie, and you're like, okay, I guess I'll do like 50 right now.
right.
And then
Yeah.
I'll do 50 next week. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing that I didn't want to talk about Varlamore, and I think this is what I think keeps it a little bit lower for me, is the fact that I don't know how like mainly I'm just a little bit worried how some of the other combat styles will feel that aren't melee. I don't know if you can mage or range Vardorvis even with relics. I don't know how Perilous
No.
Moons is going to feel with those. I don't know if Soul Heredit. I think he has like 10,000 mage rage defense or something like crazy
Yeah.
like that, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit worrying for me. Is I'm not sure if this is like a melee only zone, and like you kind of screw
Mm.
yourself if you're not doing that.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That is a good point. I would be interested to see if Leagues 5, though, is the world first range or mage soul heretic kill. Like,
Might
I
be.
genuinely think someone's going to do it. So
Oh yeah, there will be someone
maybe.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone actually gets that, like if someone is watching this video and you've done that in Leagues 5, like retrospectively, please let us know. I need to know who's done it.
So it actually turns out somebody already did this. They not only killed Soul Heredit with range, they also did it on a 1 defense pure. I apologize for ever doubting the old school RuneScape community and your absolute dedication to the art. Just blood barrage and just spam that lifesteal all the damage back for
Yeah.
like 10 minutes straight.
Yeah. Or like if his defense is crazy, like I'm wondering if there's a way to maybe with a special attack in Relic and the ranged weapon from the Colosseum, like can you just spam that, reduce the defense to the point where you're like chilling with ranged? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be
You
interesting.
would have to do
Could
the
be.
Coliseum though to get that. That was just kind of the
Yeah.
annoying part.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You're right. Your first run through would be painful and it's pretty much melee only. But
hmm
I think that is and the last thing I'll say about Varlamore, that is I think what some people are seeing it as is like a replacement for previously when people have gone like cam for melee. Some people are now just thinking, oh, I'll just go Vam. Like, sure, I'll miss out on some jewelry, but it also looks pretty fun for melee.
Yeah, I think that's totally
Yeah.
fair, and that's kind of where it's at for me as well.
We
We're
move
good to
on.
move on. Yeah. So I
Okay.
guess weird because we're at like top 2 already, but we're still like half of them to discuss. So
Yeah, we've still got to go through them though.
number 2 is Morytania for me.
Morytania for me is down at what, 5? Okay.
5, yeah. So
Well,
let's
let's
talk
talk about
about that because
Morytania.
I think that's
Yeah.
a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Massively. Tell me, because it's higher on your list. You've got to sell
yeah.
it to
So
me.
let me defend Morytania. Morytania, in my opinion, is I think it's very close to being the absolute best region because there is so much content to be doing there now, and there is so much like rewards now. You've got Barrows to do, you've got Grotesque Guardians to do, you've got Nightmare to do, you have Araxor now, and you have the Theater of Blood, which Theater of Blood you can get every single mega rare now as well.
Yeah.
So that means
Yeah.
Shadow, Twisted Bow, Scythe. Like I feel like Morytania has so much like just super fun content to do, and that to me right now like it just looks like such a blast. A big reason why I like Morytania right now is the fact that you can get the Noxious Halberd from
You have
Araxor,
it. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that I think is going to open up a lot of melee options where now you have that extra like point of range, and the damage is like it's still going to be insane.
Yeah,
So
it's
things
insane.
like doing like fight caves or inferno with melee is just going to be so much easier and so much more fun
Yeah.
now that you're not having to like do like the moonwalk like
Oh, man.
yeah, like it's just annoying. It's just
So,
made it annoying for melee. So I think that to me
yeah.
brings Morytania like as just a super fun, very like PVM heavy, like lots of content to do region right now.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. So I agree for the most part. I'm just trying to remember actually why I was so harsh on Morytania, because I put it at 5, and I'm thinking like, actually, why did I do that? Because it does genuinely have a lot going for it. But here's my justification for why it's lower, right? I feel like, and I'm not judging everything based on whether it's good as the first region, because obviously some regions are stronger at different points of the game. But Morytania does kind of lack any early game content, fun early game content anyway. Someone's going to come at me and say Trouble Brune's good, but you know.
Oh, that's me. Yeah, we're getting our Fletched up.
Oh wait, to be fair, they made changes.
They have
Okay,
made
they made
changes
some
now. It's
changes.
a
It
lot
might
better. Yeah.
actually be viable as like a skilling method now, but
Mhm.
yeah, I think otherwise for me, it's got a slower early game. I wouldn't recommend it as a first choice region, but like all of the late game stuff is amazing. The Slayer Tower, Araxor now, Theatre of Blood, Blood Shards, Sepulchre, all of that stuff. So like I get it, and I can see why you would have it in your top 3. It's just not enough for me in the sense of I think for raids, Toa and Chambers are better, and that's a personal opinion. But I also think that that's maybe the general consensus of the player base as well, is that Toa is like a very accessible raid, and so is Chambers. And I feel like this time around, with Echo Bosses in particular, people might only pick one raid region. So like that choice is going to get even more tricky. And for me, I just couldn't justify it being Morytania. So that's why it's my 5.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of the opinion that like I think Theater of Blood in raids, or sorry, not in raids, in leagues is like I think is one of the most fun to do because
It's good. It is
like
good.
there is just like so much. I think the mechanics just feel pretty good, even with how hard things are and stuff like that. However, I will say that this is a big caveat. This is basically my reason for not putting Morytania number 1, is the fact that I think Theater of Blood is still pretty annoying to do solo, and I feel like that's a major drawback compared to Chambers and TOA, because like if you're just logging on, you just want to chill, do some like knock out some raids, like you probably can solo Theater of Blood, but it's gonna be a pain. Like Nilos are still gonna be a huge pain.
Oh yeah.
So there's I don't know. That's a drawback for me, but like if you got friends to do it with, I think Theater of Blood's gonna feel pretty damn good.
More on that, I think that even though Leagues is like a super like communal game, like everyone gets together and plays, I found it really hard last year to find teams to play Tub with. Like genuinely quite hard. Like I would be, to be fair, it was like a few weeks into the league, but that's another reason why it's lower for me, is that the amount of people doing that content as the weeks go on is less and less. So you want something you can solo, like you say. So I do agree. And I think you would have a hard time justifying it as number 1. So I agree with you.
Yeah. But like I still think that if you do have those like friends to play with, or especially like if you just plan on playing a little bit early, the group changes now where basically it's like more than one person can get a purple now as well. I think that makes theater way more fun, whereas like before kind of sucks to like knock out a 20-minute theater and like only one person gets a purple. So I hope that gets changed. Yeah, or nobody, and it's like it's just kind of lame and stuff like that. I think also like Nightmare. I actually really like the Nightmare. I think it's a lot of fun to do in leagues where it goes a lot faster and you're not there for like 10 minutes. So
and the gear there got buffed this year as well, right?
Yes, I think Inquisitor is better now too, which can kind of keep you from having to go for a different melee region to get that gear. You can just use Inquisitor now with like Scythe or something, and I mean you're chilling.
Yeah, that's actually a really good shout. Honestly, I think Nightmare is enjoyable both solo and with teams. So I totally forgot about Nightmare. Honestly, I think it's an underrated bit of content for in leagues in particular. I actually hate it in the main game. I can't stand it, but in leagues it's a lot of fun.
No, I agree. In leagues it gets a lot of fun. And also like I think last Deadman mode I did a lot of Grotesque Guardians, and I think that boss is actually really cool too. It does require 2 styles, which is we'll see how that works in leagues, but I think it's a fun boss. And there's also just like there's so much combat achievements in Morytania. It is crazy. So you get so many points from doing that. And also I think they're just kind of fun to go for in leagues because it's like kind of like you have like training wheels to get through a lot of them and stuff. So
for sure. One of the things I'd love to do this league is on my main account, just try and do every combat achievement in the regions that I've got. So that would be great. And Morytania is good for that. So I was just thinking about that as well. So that's a good shout. That is a good shout. I can't imagine anyone's going to be very happy with the temple trekking tasks. That's the only thing.
No, there are a lot of stinkers. There's a couple stinkers in
Yeah.
Morytania for sure.
I
And the
think
skilling is really weak, so that
yeah, the
that does suck.
Ectofunctus as a prayer training method sucks.
Nope.
Like
Yep.
no one can
Awful.
convince me that'll ever be good. Right? Trouble Brewing, like I know you did a video on it, right? So
Yeah,
I
I'm a trouble brewing. I love that.
yeah, I watched that and I was like, oh wait, so there's actually something good about this now. But I still don't know if like the do X amount of Trouble Brewing games or like buy all of the things in the shop is a great way to go for league tasks. I'm sure it'll be in there to pad out the region, but it does feel bad having to do it.
Yeah, I feel like again for me it's literally just like Morytania. Here's 4 bosses in a raid for you to have fun with. Like that's all I see it as, and like content's content. It's good stuff, good times.
Yeah, you can make that argument about any region. There's always one like piece of content that slows down the game to the point where you're like, I'll just do that task when I've got nothing better to do.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, I get that. All right, should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on to your number 2.
So number 2 for me is Asgarnia, and honestly, I'm gonna be super real about this. It was before this number 3, and Varlamore was 2. But I swapped them round, and I'll try and sell it to you because your Asgarnia is number 4.
Yes.
I will just say that I think Asgarnia, despite being kind of sucky for mage, is so insane for both ranged and melee that, if it appeals to 2/3 of the styles, giving you some of like the best in slot gear for like multiple equipment slots, I feel like that alone is enough that anyone who is doing either range or melee kind of has to pick it. Like if you're interested in, the absolute max gear. So, Torva, Zarite stuff. And just the content there, I feel like is slightly, for PVM anyway, slightly varied enough that you can enjoy yourself over a long period of time. So like God Wars Dungeon, Cerberus. I guess you could include Pest Control within that as just being fun to do for a little while and just flex your relics. But yeah, I just thought Asgarnia was just like almost too strong a reason, and that's why it's there. In terms of whether it's actually going to be fun for very long, I don't know.
What do you think? Here's what I think. I think that I agree with you that Asgarnia is like slightly better Varlamore. That's how I kind of see it.
Oh, really?
It's like, Asgarnia is just like better. It's a better version of Varlamore because you're getting all of those different set or all the like gear from all the different like styles and whatnot. And God Wars Dungeon is great for that. I guess my problem with Asgarnia and why it's a little bit lower for me is just that like I feel like God Wars Dungeon just maybe I'm just growing jaded because I've done it, but I feel like God Wars Dungeon just got kind of boring for me after a while. Like you go in there, you kill the boss in 3 seconds, and then you like last recall back to your house. It's like something like I don't know. It feels like God Wars Dungeon just isn't the most fun content for me, and really Nex isn't that fun either. So I will say though, because you said it's good for melee and ranged, I have been preaching that I think it was good for mage last year too, because you have like Whisper and stuff like that.
Of course you do. Yeah.
You have Whisper, and you can do all the God Wars dungeons. I think you could do them with mage. I'm pretty sure.
I suppose
like Serb with mage too. So
I suppose Ancients was so strong that you don't really need a unique weapon for it to be great. Like you didn't need a shadow. Like before the shadow, an ancient staff would do you literally everywhere. But I feel like mage choices within the region are kind of weak, though. I mean, like the Eternal Crystal, again, you need the desert for the boots. If you don't have ancients, then what are you really using there? And the Staff of the Dead is good as well, but just like I just don't feel like it's good enough.
No, I think you're right. Like it definitely needs something else for it to like make it work for mage. But I still like, again, I think that I like bosses that I guess aren't like a chore to do and stuff like that. So I feel like all of the everything in Asgarnia is pretty chill. I'm
100% with you. When you said you're a bit jaded that you've done this loads of times, I'm there. Like I think I've picked Asgarnia on at least one of my league's accounts every league that you could possibly do it. and I've done God Wars Dungeon in like Leagues 2, 3, and 4. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not excited to do it again. But it will probably happen because some of the stuff behind it is unfortunately just too good for the style. Like,
Right.
you're gonna reluctantly rock up to next and be like, right, everyone's just gonna, spread the cough. It's gonna be absolute hell. No, no one really knows what they're doing, but it's going down quick enough. I'll just sit here for like 10 hours today until I get a tour of a piece,
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like that's the kind of thing. So don't get me wrong, I'm with you, and like that's why I think that me having this as 2 is a bit of a meme because I think it is a bit of a chore, but it's like a chore you kind of have to do, you know? It's like
Right.
it's so
Yeah.
strong.
I agree. I do feel like it is so strong. It's just like, yeah. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't want to do God Wars again. Even things like Whisper, like I don't know how I feel about doing like Whisper if you don't have like magic, right? Because don't you get like kind
Yeah.
of slapped if you're if you're trying to melee that boss, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, big time. Melee sucks on the Whisperer, and I'm not sure about ranged. Can you range the Whisperer? I've never tried.
I have no. I actually don't know. I think you probably can, but
Huh, that could be
well,
interesting.
yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, the Whisperer, I mean, that's the point about the rings, right? Which one does the Whisperer get? Because isn't it the slash bonus ring?
Yeah. I think it's the like
I'm pretty sure it is, right?
attack bonus ring, basically.
Yeah, I just feel like sometimes I wish. I know Jagex wanted to spice it up and keep us guessing, but sometimes I wish they just made it make sense. Like, let Vardorvis give you the melee ring, let the Whisperer give you the mage ring, and then just split the other two up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But it is what it is. So, yeah, the Whisperer, there'll be a lot of tasks behind that. I guarantee, do X amount of kills. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of with you, and I would be willing to when we get round to it. I might move Asgarnia. I might move Asgarnia around.
One thing
We'll
that
see.
I also kind of thought about as far as Asgarnia goes is that typically defenders are so huge, right? But there's like a
Yeah,
lot of good two hands now
that's
between.
what that's exactly what I was just thinking. I was thinking like I don't even think it's a selling point anymore.
Mhm.
Like the defenders,
Yeah,
and like
there's
you
like
could argue that the Warriors Guild is like a point of interest there. But you could skip that content altogether if there wasn't going to be tasks for it, which there obviously will. So
I mean, there probably will, but it's like it's not. I just don't think it's as important anymore. If you have like
yeah,
the dual paddles from
yeah,
Varlamore, you have the
yeah,
halberd from Morytania. Like, there's other
yeah,
options. I think where I'm like not
yeah.
as sold on that. Even the gear, like Bandos is good, but like you might just be fine with the Blood Moon set from Varlamore
Mm,
or
yeah.
Inquisitor set, something like that. And I don't know. I just don't know how much I feel like grinding out Bandos for that set. That I
Yeah,
just
that's fair. I feel like that is one thing that I'm really excited about with this league. Jagex have made so many changes this year. Project Rebalance and the introduction of Varlamore and Varlamore Part 2. I feel like they've kind of thrown like what's considered meta, like just into the air and like things are scattered. Like the spread is so much more even now, in my opinion, anyway. And I think that makes it more exciting for leagues, right? I don't think a lot of people out there will be sweating like I need the most optimal regions, but I don't think that exists anymore. Like, sure, you can pick a bad combination if you wanted to go down a particular route, but every region will have like strengths now, I think.
yeah, and that's why for me I feel like and honestly why I think I was pretty happy making this like
Mm,
list before we even know that much is just because I
yeah.
think a lot of it is based on just what content you want to engage with, not really like
Yeah.
you pick these three and now you're doing like 10% the damage of somebody else. So
Yeah.
yep. Oh,
Yeah.
we
I like
forgot
it.
to mention for Asgarnia, there is the giant mole, an absolute banger. I hope it gets an Echo Boss
Oh,
variant that's just like an absolute beast.
that would be interesting, wouldn't it? If it was going to be mole, though, if the Echo Boss was mole, that would be so interesting. I wonder what it would do. I'm not sure it would be purely because of the fact of how quickly accessible it is. Like, would they just make the Echo Boss accessible as soon as you've got a spade? I don't know.
Yeah, hell.
Um,
Let's go.
that could be good, right? Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be interesting. The mole is good, isn't it? But I feel like I don't know. Again, it's one of those things that I think is great on a main account when you can actually do something with the drops, but you don't get much from them all, do you? So it's just going to
Nope.
be a point task, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. I guess you could argue again that pest control is a really nice bonus because last year for Leagues 4, it was better than Soul Wars, if I remember right,
I think so.
like
Yeah, it
for
was
the
slightly
XP.
better. But again,
So
if
you
they
could,
change that and it's not as good, strong
yeah,
anymore, then pest control kind of goes away as like a, I guess,
that's the
selling
thing.
point.
That's the thing. And then that would make it so much more painful for people if there were loads of league tasks behind pest control stuff as well. So do you want to know my controversial opinion about that though?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Because I'm glad they're nerfing Soul Wars. Like nerf it to the ground, please.
Yeah.
But I don't think they should nerf pest control.
Really? Why not?
Yeah, because I feel like it's a region choice. You know, you are like doubling down on a region. You only get 3 choices, right? I feel like you shouldn't be penalized for the bonuses that minigame gives you based on the XP multipliers. Because you've locked in a choice, and that might be one of the like determining factors as to why you've picked that region. Like, oh, I want this region because pest control is going to help me get through those early levels really quick. You know? So
yeah,
I don't think it should be nerfed at pest control, but nerf Soul Wars, please.
Yeah, I've seen some conversation too when people were like, "Oh, they need to like nerf hunter rumors because it's gonna make like hunter training too OP if you pick Varlamore." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why you pick the region. You pick the region to get the bonus." And yeah, I think that's like what pest control kind of serves. So I think I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, and that's why people would make an argument for Zeah being incredible, you know, early as well. But we'll get onto that because
Yeah.
The next one is our top picks, and you've picked the desert. Tell me.
Okay, let's talk about desert. Okay, I think the desert is. I think it's insane. I think it's just crazy good. Like, I thought about it for a while.
I'm honestly really surprised.
Yeah, let me. I was surprised too because I originally was like, oh, desert's kind of weak now, but I really do think this is just. If there was any other region where you just like cannot go wrong on, it is 100% the desert because it is absolutely loaded with content. I think you've got Tombs of a Mascot, which is by far the easiest raid to get into. Anybody can go into, have a good time.
Yeah.
You can go with 8 people now too, and you're not hurting your chances at getting purples. So you can you can absolutely get carried by your friends and just have a blast, right? Like you're getting all 3 mega rares with probably the least amount of effort compared to the other raids. You're getting full Masori, which is good ranged armor. You're getting the Fang, which is an amazing melee weapon. And even if you're one of the other styles, it's the best off style like melee weapon you can get because it's so accurate. You don't need all the bonuses for it. Lightbearer is amazing.
Lightbearer is great.
Yeah. Not to mention, even though you don't need
50 Lightbearers though.
That does suck. But let me keep going, okay? Now you don't need Desert to do the Desert Treasure 2 bosses anymore, right? But Desert still gives you Leviathan, so you can do Leviathan now. You can get full Virtus, so that makes Mage good there. You can get Soul Reaper Axe just from the Desert. Like, if you have a Halberd, you can melee the Leviathan now too, I'm pretty sure. So that becomes an option. Like, there's just so much stuff. Oh, and I know this is kind of cheating because we haven't talked about the Echo stuff on anything else yet. But
I knew you were going to mention it. Yeah,
I know. But it's getting a really good raged weapon too. So that's like the only thing I think it didn't have, right? And now you're getting a ranged weapon from there too, which again that feels super cheaty because we haven't brought that in for anything else. No. But to me, like
let's
that
do it. Hey, I think that because that's public and because that's the first thing they put out there, we should talk about it. Because fair enough, it's getting a slightly unfair advantage. Because it's that and Fremi are the only places that we know where the confirmed Echo boss is, but we don't know what the Fremi item is, and we know what the desert one is. It's a ranged weapon. Can we speculate about it for a second? I'm going to throw out what I think based on the limited information that Jagex have put out there, right? Because they said in the official league's Discord, which I'll link in the description because I think it's a great place. We've both been involved in some discussion there, so Jagex have posted in there some things that they've already confirmed for Leagues 5. One of them is that the Echo Boss weapons aren't going to be best in slot. Like, they're not going to beat the raid weapons, right? But they are going to be close. And they said, think blowpipe. And that got me wondering, with the desert being the region that kind of unlocks darts, is the ranged weapon that we get from the Cowfight Queen going to be something like a blowpipe? You know, they said think a blowpipe, and I might be taking that too literally, but that would actually fit the desert really well. I don't know what you think.
That's exactly what I've been thinking. I think going to be. I've been thinking like the Chitin blowpipe from the Cowfight Queen that just shoots out darts. That's been my idea the whole time, and like, I wish I could get it out of my brain because I feel like I'm unfairly judging the desert, but like, Oh, dude, if
Yeah.
Desert gives you a blowpipe on top of all the raid weapons and
Yeah.
full Masori, like, oh, it's such a good region. It looks so
Yeah.
good.
Listen, you're hyping it up. I can see that, like, why it's your number one,
Mhm.
definitely. I do think the Echo Boss gives it a slightly unfair advantage, but the others could be just as good, or maybe even better. I don't know. The desert is great though. For me, Toa is my probably my favorite raid as well. So, and you can do it solo, like super chill solo. You don't sweat quite as much as you do at Chambers, like challenge mode or anything like that. So, yeah, I can see why you've put it up. Can I just play devil's advocate though?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Tell me why it's 4, because that is a mind boggling. That to me is insane. So
What is there to do outside of Toa, really? Like I right, Temporos. I'm gonna list them off.
yeah,
You've
there's a
got the
lot. You'll be listing them for a while.
okay, right. Giant's Foundry. Sure. Okay. Some
Yeah.
smithing supplies. Good if you've got fire sale. I guess it's all right for like skilling. Temporos. I'm just going through the skilling ones first. I guess that's okay. It's kind of chill. I guess I have to say Mage Training Arena, although let's be honest, that's in my favor. Like that's why it's down
Yeah,
there.
okay,
Like
but
I
it is
hate
better. It is better. They have changed it a little
yeah.
bit. So
Yeah. It is down there. Like, oh man. And everyone just running around with Infinity Robes all game as well. Like, I mean, it was kind of cool, but still. Right. So Mage Training Arena. Sure, you've got things like Blackjack in, the Agility Pyramid, Pyramid Plunder.
Guardians of the Rift
I
as
just
well.
oh yeah, no, that's a good point. That is a good point. Is that definitely confirmed to be locked behind the desert?
I think it is desert locked because they said that
Right,
Leviathan
yeah.
is desert locked because you need the
Yeah.
Guardians of the Rift like
Yeah.
minigame quests. So.
Okay, that makes it slightly better then. But I was
That's a lot of
originally
minigames.
thinking like, is there much? Like I'm just imagining myself running through the desert. Like, what is there actually? I mean, by definition, it's kind of barren, isn't it? But there is actually quite a bit there. So I get why you've got it high on the list. Number one might be a bit whack, but we'll see.
No, I think
We'll
I think
see.
it's number 1. It's so hard for me to put it anywhere lower just because
Really?
I really do think this like again, I feel like every other region I could
Yeah.
see someone not having a good time at. Unless you
Yeah.
absolutely hate tombs, I don't know how you could like not like the desert. That's kind of where I'm
Yeah.
at.
Yeah. No,
I know
that
a
is
lot of
fair.
people don't like tombs, so maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. It does feel very different as a raid, doesn't it, to the
Mhm.
others? Obviously, I mean, it's its own unique experience. But like, I love Tombs of Amasca. I think it's great. Jagex did a great job with the design, and I love that the invocation system gives you that option. Like as early as you want, right? I'm going for my like 50% purple chance, and I love that. Be interested to see if it's scaled up even harder this year because I feel like it got to the point like when you got the shadow, it's like you could just max those invocations out and be like, right, nothing really matters anymore,
Yeah, you would blast pretty damn hard.
Yeah. So we'll see. Should we talk about my number one now?
Yeah, I think
Or
so.
have you got more to defend about the desert? 'Cause I'm kind of on board with what you're saying so far.
No, I think that's pretty much it about the desert. Like again, I just think it's got a lot of good content.
Yeah.
The mini games are good. Oh, there's also the like the squirk pickpocketing, which is always a lot of fun,
Yeah.
even if you suck
Yeah.
at it. Like, I think one thing because we talked about the echo bosses a little bit, but kind of like in Fremennik, where I think having an echo version of the Dagonoth Kings makes it more fun. I think having an echo version of the Calphite Queen also makes that like
That's
less
true.
of a downside, if that makes sense. Which I think is like,
Yeah.
again, I think that's going to be true for every region, but especially true for those like real stinkers that are just like, I don't want to kill the Calphite Queen 250 times.
Yeah.
So
That's I mean, maybe that's what we should do at the end, right? We should run through each region and take a shot at who we think the Echo Boss is.
yeah, I'd love
be.
that. That would be fun.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that at the end because I've got some ideas, and I think we're
Okay.
on the same page with that kind of stuff. So I agree.
I think we move on to your number one.
Yeah,
right? And that's
let's.
Zeah.
It's Zeah, and honestly, I think Zeah. A lot of people could make a case for why it's number one, but for me, it's the fact that there's everything from a first region to like the very last piece of end game content. Like if you pick Zeah first, it's a good choice. If you pick Zeah last, it's a good choice. Like you can't pick Zeah and kind of regret it in a way, because now we know you can get the mega rares from every raid. It's going to suit every combat style. The prayer scrolls are going to be like just amazing for both range and mage as well. So again, no combat style particularly suffers with Zeah. You've got a few mini games. So like Winter Todd is great. I'm not even going to get started on Tithe Farm. I hate that. I hate that piece of content. But I do just think that like Zeah just has a bit of everything. Mid game boss Arachnus, early game skilling stuff, late game raids, mini games along the way, and one of the best Slayer bosses, which depending on the Slayer relic this year, could either be the best Slayer boss, best Slayer master to have, or the worst one. Because if you can't pick your task, Konar kind of fucks you over. But if you can, she's suddenly the best Slayer master. So I think there's a lot of reasons I could go on and on, but that's like my basis for why I think Zeah is number one. I think it's got a great piece of everything for anyone picking anything in there. Where did you put Zeah again? Number 3.
Number 3. So it's still really
Okay,
good
tell
for
me
me.
about it. Yeah.
I think for me though, I honestly just I don't like Chambers of Xeric that much. Like I think I need to like just get. I think it's because I suck at it. That's probably why. Like honestly,
oh really? Yeah.
I think I just don't. I'm not very good at it, so it's like it goes down. But like I started warming up to it a bit more as I've been doing more and more of it. Like I'm starting to become enlightened and seeing like, oh yeah, it's pretty fun, especially with groups and stuff, which is always been kind of.
And they've made loads of like quality of life changes in Chambers over the last like 2 years as well, right? So
yeah, that is
reloading
true.
the raids. I think like they even changed the kind of like general layout of some of the raids, right? So I think that Chambers has definitely become better to try and modernize it, but I'm with you in the sense of that like it feels old. It's like old school RuneScape mechanics. Like it's all like either movement or like placement. It's not too complicated, but it's super fucking punishing if you do it wrong. So like I see where you're coming from because it does suck to learn, I'll be honest. But
and like there's certain rooms like I think like Vanguards in particular are just like really trash in leagues where you're like accidentally hitting one for like at 100 randomly and then it full heals everything. It's like, oh dude, really?
And overall you need like all 3 combat styles for Vanguards, right? And like in previous leagues you'd lean in so far one way that it's not like unimaginable for you to step into a raid with like 99 mage if you've picked mage but only 60 range and you're like, this sucks so bad right now, so I get that. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, I think though overall, like for me, I just think all the raid regions are really good this year.
Yeah.
And I think it's just to me, it just feels like kind of like the weakest raid region, just because even outside of the raid, I just think the other stuff isn't as fun as like Desert and Morytania. Like if I compare even like Wintertodd to Temperos, I would rather do Temperos. I think it's more fun. Although there have been a lot of changes to Wintertodd, and that's actually pretty massive. I probably should have thought about that. And you actually mentioned the prayer stuff from the raids too. Those are stronger now. The mage one is a lot stronger. So that's pretty big. Yeah, I just think the other content in the regions isn't as fun. Like even Arachnus is kind of on the weaker side. But that could be changed with a Echo style boss. What else?
And while we're on the topic of Arachnus, I feel like it's for anyone thinking of going down a melee route and picking Morytania and Zeah, you're now going to have that option to like fully AFK Arachnus, like with the Urania boots, like just like meaning you never get stuck down. And like we know from Relics of Past how overpowered you become. You might genuinely just be able to stick on Prey from melee and just leave your client running and just rack up Arachnus KC. So that could be really interesting to see. Yeah. Sorry, again, I interrupted you, didn't I?
No, that's all. I think that is a good point where like having a boss like that is good that you can kind of chill.
Yeah.
You brought up the catacombs, and I think that's actually something I didn't think about very much because of the fact you can choose your own Slayer tasks.
I wonder if that'll change this year though, because I feel like it was a big, like people on Reddit were going crazy, and I know Reddit's not representative of the whole RuneScape community, but it wasn't just Reddit. It's like people I spoke to in game, people on the actual like just chatting about it, but like the Slayer relic in Leagues 4 kind of sucked. The bloodthirsty element was cool. I love that we had bloodthirsty superiors. But not being able to pick your Slayer task was like, it's almost like they took a step backwards from previous leagues. But I feel like it would like absolutely go off in Karen, so
Yeah, you know,
would be
one thing
interesting.
I was kind of thinking about was because you did your relic tier list, right, and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
I've been
yeah,
working on mine actually, so I got that
yeah.
coming
Oh,
pretty
good,
soon.
good, good, good.
Um,
That's good.
uh, I remember, I think you rated the explode. You remember the exploding attacks relic from Leagues 2 that does like
Yeah,
AOE, like it does like the
yeah.
multi hit, right?
I
I
didn't rate it. Yeah, you
Yeah, well,
loved it.
I thought it was trash too, but then I realized
Oh.
I'm like, I feel like if this was added as like sort of a, whatever combat mastery that you could pick now that's not like
Mhm.
competing with like these really powerful stuff,
Yeah.
and you went to Catacombs of Kourend and everything there is in multi-combat, like
Mm.
that could
Yeah.
actually be kind of cool to have like a really strong multi-combat with everything there. So,
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that the only drawback to all of the catacombs and the multi-combat stuff is it's hard enough on like a main game set of worlds to get a set of deck reels to yourself there. Like
mhm.
how the hell you're gonna do it with only like 4 viable ping worlds is gonna be kind of crazy. So I think that that is a bit of a drawback to the catacombs as well. Like they are great for Slayer, but they are going to be packed out in those multi-combat areas. I'm sure like jellies sound great on paper, like just spam those hard clues. But I bet they're going to be hard to get like a load to yourself for at the very beginning anyway. Obviously, as the league goes on, it'll get easier. But yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if it will come back or whether they've like buffed exploding attacks from Leagues 2. Because I feel like if it had a slight buff, it would be good.
Yeah, or really like because we haven't talked very much about like the combat masteries and stuff, probably because we
Mm.
don't really know anything about them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I'm hoping it's like a way of introducing them in a way like because I think the hard part about the current combat relics is like you have to make a pick. So if there's
Mm.
one that's like clearly better than the other, it's
Yeah.
really really hard to justify it now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I agree.
I think with the combat masteries, if there's a little bit more like flexibility on what you can pick, like maybe there's 10 of them and you have to choose like 6 of them or something like that.
Mm. Mm.
Now maybe you can kind of slot in those I guess the niche ones a bit more that will still get you value, but they're not like you're not taking away something that's like really really important.
Mm. Yeah, no, I agree. And I kind of hope that the combat masteries work out a bit like you know how like a talent tree looks in like classic RPG?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm kind of hoping for with the combat masteries. I'm kind of hoping you could be like, right, I'm gonna pick this like level 1 melee relic, because that's gonna help me like snowball to my other styles. And then you go into the mage tree and you're like, okay, now I need to spec into this. I'm kind of hoping it's something along those lines. I think that would be a really, really cool concept. Balancing wise, I have no idea, but that could be
It's
cool,
not
right?
our job to balance it. That's
Yeah,
for
fuck
them
it.
to figure out. I'm just here to have fun.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And leaks is meant to break things anyway, so who knows?
Yeah.
Um,
Um
sweet. We've been through all of them, right?
I think
And
yeah,
now we
that's
need
just about
to,
everything.
yeah. I feel like now we've seen each other's list, we need to debate and come up with like a combined list, right? That's what
Mhm.
we said we're going to do. We're going to come up with a combined list and agree on some sort of compromise here. Where do we start?
I feel like the bottom 3 are probably the easiest because those are
Yeah,
all hard bottom 3 for us.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I feel like
100%. And
I'm
you know what? I'm looking at your list right now, and I think that I like your 789 more. I think I like Wildy being at the bottom. I know it will upset those Wildy enjoyers, but yeah, it's between that and Tirranwn for last place, and I'm quite happy going Wildy, Tirranwn, Kandarin. I don't know how you feel.
I it's funny because I was gonna say I think I'm pretty happy switching and putting Tyrion with nine.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, I think because
Yeah, no, to be fair, those last two interchangeable. So if
they're
we
like
want to go
they're
to
both
Tirranwn 9, that's fine.
yeah. I feel like I'm of the opinion that I think there's like more to do in the Wildy, even if it's
Yeah,
not like super like
yeah.
fun. And
No,
then I
I
think
agree. I agree.
Kandarin would then be 7 for us, right?
Yeah.
Kandarin.
So those
I
bottom three is super easy to get through. So we're going Tirranwn, Wildy. Sorry. Yeah, Tirranwn, Wildy, Kandarin, right?
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Okay.
I think 6 Fremennik kind of makes sense because that's exactly where we had it. So
Yeah. We just leave Fremennik where it was. That's
yep.
the only one in this whole list that we had in exactly the same place,
Yeah, which
right?
I'm really happy about because I
Yeah,
honestly
yeah.
was worried that we would just show up with the exact same list and there's like nothing to
Yeah.
talk about.
No, true.
Now it's the hard part.
I
Now we
think
gotta do the
here's where it's
rest.
going to get difficult because
Yeah.
I have put Varlamore in my top 3,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got it down here. And I honestly, here's the thing, right? I think Varlamore is really, really strong. It does fall off, and like there's a world where your top 3 regions should just be the raid regions, which is what you've done, right?
Yeah.
So I could move Varlamore, but I don't think it's 5. I think it might be a 4. What do you think really deserves 5?
What
Do you
deserves
think it's
5?
Varlamore? Yeah.
You know, the hard part is yeah, I think it is. I think it's Varlamore. I think it is 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to put it as a top 3. I don't know. It's just hard for me because I think Asgarnia is better than Varlamore, and I think the raid regions are better than
I
Varlamore
think the
too.
gear you get from Asgarnia is definitely better. I think the content in Varlamore, whether it's the novelty talking right now, I think it's more fun than Asgarnia. And I'm sure that's probably just more novelty. So maybe just being more like critical about it. Maybe Varlamore. I don't know though. It is between Varlamore and Asgarnia for sure.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I'm struggling a lot here. I will say though that I think I have been changed a bit, and I think Morytania goes down for me
Oh
a lot.
really?
I think Morytania does not go in the top 3 anymore for sure.
Oh
Yeah,
damn.
I think I've been a
Okay.
little change on that, and that's just because it is a lot of PVM, but it's not that much other
Mm,
stuff. I think no other big
mm.
draws, and POB. You know, you got to have a team, so that I'm starting to really feel like yeah, that kind of stinks.
Okay. So
Oh,
where
also
would you
one
put?
thing I didn't talk too much about Mauritania about is that I don't know if you want to go there if you're not going for melee. Also,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
That's true. I mean, I Arims did get a buff, so there is some magic damage behind Arims, isn't there?
yeah, but like
But I feel like,
doing the
what are you
rest
gonna
of the
do? Go
stuff,
Arims in a
yeah,
shadow from Tob, and like you're gonna have to
yes.
run Tob with melee, right? Like everything's weak to slash, so
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
Here's where I'm at. Okay,
Go on.
I'm thinking Varlamore 5, Mauritania 4.
Outrageous. Okay,
But it's close. It's like close. I just feel like Mauritania 5 feels so bad. Like
that's what I had it as. So I feel
I
like bringing it down
know.
to 4 is a good compromise, but I would have to bring Varlamore down from 3 on my list. Let's do it for now, and we'll get this first list together, and then
Let
we'll have
let's do this
another
for
run
now.
through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it feels weird because I think we're basically arguing which one is 5 because we both
Yeah.
have them at 5. So it's
Yeah.
I
So
think for
we've
me
got
though,
Varlamore, Mauritania, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Varlamore, Mauritania, and
Okay.
then that would I think make 3 Asgarnia. I almost want to say,
I guess it would be. And I think
but
that's fair, actually. I think that's fair. I had it at number 2, but I I think after our chat earlier, I said I would move it. I would bring it down.
yeah, I mean, I think the
Yeah.
big question is like between. Do you think that Zeah and Desert are 1-2, basically in some order, or do you think something
Definitely.
else? Because
Yeah. No,
I'm of the
definitely.
opinion right now that Zeah Desert are top 2.
See, I would be happy saying Desert is in top 3, but my Desert is so much lower than yours. It's 4. But I think considering our choices between these two are these top 2, I would agree. Zeah and Desert top 2. It's just a
Mhm.
question of which one is number 1.
Yeah, and I think
That's the big
just
question.
based off our combined list, I do think Desert becomes number 2 because yours is at 4, so that
Mm, yeah. And I think the thing about Desert that was giving it a slightly bigger advantage is the fact that we know what the Echo Boss is and what it gives.
right, yeah, that
We
is
don't know what
fair.
mecanics it does, but it does make up for a weakness that the Desert had. And
Which
I
is
feel
kind
like
of a
that's
yeah.
why we think it's great. Yeah.
So yeah,
So
because I don't think
what
I could put Desert.
are you saying Zeah number 1 then? Are
I
you
think that
coming
would be
around?
Zeah number 1. Yeah, I think that would be because
Oh
I have
damn.
I have a top 3, and you know that's yours. And
Yeah.
I mean, Desert didn't even make top 3 for you, so I feel like kind of weird to put it number 1 just based off my unless I like super sold it for
I
you.
think the
But
Desert's great and I love Toa, but I just yeah, maybe I had, slightly underrated it. But it is top
let me
3.
send you our combined list right now just
Yeah,
so you can
send me the
see it,
combined
and
list.
let me know if anything looks wrong there. I'll
Okay,
send you
let's
like
run through it. Let's
yeah.
run
Let's
through it
just
from the
run
bottom to the
run
top.
through it one more time.
Okay, so number 9, we've got Tirranwn. I think that's fair.
Yep, I agree.
Number 8, Wildy. Number 7, Kandarin. I don't think we're disagreeing on the first like 4 here because
Nah, I
friendly
think the
6, we
first
both had
4.
that anyway. Varlamore being 5, I think is fair because my reason for putting it so high was that I thought it was just an insane first region, like the best first region you could pick, and I stand by that. But I also said that it falls off, and I think it does. Like it's going to cater really well in the mid game, but it does. You can't compare it to the raid regions because they're just going to be what you focus on towards
Yeah,
the end.
I feel like Varlamore will be more popular than some of the higher ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think you have to have
Mm.
like one of the top 3, I would say.
Yeah, and I was wondering whether to say that before we came into this to be like, are our top 3s just going to be raid regions? Because I feel like based on popularity, everyone is going to pick at least one raid region, or at least most people are. So like, does that automatically mean that they are top 3? I don't know.
It's see, that's the weird thing because I think most people will pick a raid region, but they're not
Yeah.
going to pick multiple raid regions. So I think
True,
something like
yeah.
Varlamore and Asgarnia are going to be more popular because
Yeah.
people are going to pick that as like their second or their third. Just
Yeah.
when they're first planning, they're going to think like, okay,
Yeah.
like I'm building around doing this specific raid, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
So-
Yeah, that's why like you pick Varlamore as a first region. It's never going to be your main piece of content, but you might go Asgarnia, Morytania then for the rest of the stuff you need.
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mhm.
So let's leave Varlamore at 5. Now
It's
4
like
and
such a
3
good
are
it's such a
probably
good support region. I think Varlamore
Yeah.
really is. It's like it buffs everything else so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. I think 4 and 3, you know, looking at this list now, our combined list,
Mhm.
4 and 3 is the only one that I would change it if we needed to change it. Because Asgarnia is good, and I'm quite happy with Morytania being 4, but that's the only thing that I think like there could be some movement in. Is it Morytania 4 or is it Asgarnia?
I personally, I think, because honestly, Asgarnia originally was almost enough to go into top 3 for me. I think Asgarnia should probably be 3. I feel like
Okay.
maybe it's just
Yeah.
because, like, again, we've played it a couple times
Yeah.
now. You know what I mean? Like we've seen it so many, and like, yeah, I think it's still good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's
Mhm.
fair to be like, oh, I've played this one so many times, therefore I don't want to
Yeah.
play it. So
Yeah, that's fair. So I think we're set then because the rest of it we just agreed on. I guess this is our combined list then.
I think so. Yeah, I think it looks good, and
Okay.
I'm pretty happy. I feel like I could defend any of these, you know, pretty well. So
I think we should we should encourage people to come at us right now in the comments if
definitely.
if you do have a slightly different list in your head, put it in the comments because I want to know how different our combined list is now to other people's.
There's like somebody who's already they're like an essay on how Tirranwn is not the last region,
Yeah,
and like
for
we're
sure.
tripping right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, absolutely. And the same thing with Wildy. Wildy always gets a lot of the 6% of players that did pick Wildy, they love it and they will make themselves known. You know?
Yep, definitely.
For sure. Oh, sick. Okay, so we've got our list. I'm pretty happy with that too. We said we might shoot through these and pick out who we think might be the Echo boss. Should we start from the bottom and go up?
Yeah, I think we can just kind of work our way through. Maybe
Go
if
for
you
it.
have any ideas of like what the possible reward could be too, we could shoot that as well. Although that's
Yeah.
super speculation.
It is speculation, but that's part of the fun of leagues. People love that, and I love that. I think
Yeah.
the theory craft and the speculation is actually part of what keeps leagues fun.
Right. Yeah, I
You know?
agree.
Go for it. Who do you think the Echo boss is going to be in Tirranwn first of all?
I don't know. I don't know about this one. It's I guess
Yeah, this one's tricky.
I think it's probably like it probably Zulrah, but I don't know if Zulrah needs it. So that's the weird thing.
Yeah. Zora with an extra mechanic might be really interesting, and it might be really sucky for people that have never done Zora before. You know, that would be so overwhelming, I think.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking of like Zulrah, but you know how in Leviathan when the rocks fall down and they block the space?
Oh, yeah.
Like imagine
Yeah.
Zulrah with that. Like it would just be
that would
so
suck.
crazy. Like
I mean,
it would
that'd
just
be
be
fun.
a whack.
I
It
would.
would,
I
yeah, I think it
would
would be
love it.
fun. I would like a boss like that would make like Zulrah like really damn hard and stuff.
Yeah. That's interesting then. And that actually, thinking about it, would something like that be enough to move Tirranwn up? We're not going to change our list now because, the rest of this is speculation, but It would be interesting to know if they made Zora that much harder, but the Echo boss reward that much better. Would that put it up in our estimation? Probably,
Yeah.
I
As
guess
for
we'll see.
reward, I can't really think of anything.
Yeah, I guess it depends, like, how wild are we going with these? Like, are we going off the beaten path, like, so far to say that it's possible they could come up with another, like, crystal type thing? Because you've got the crystal set, right? In
mhm.
Tirranwn. We've already got the Blade of Seldor, and we've already got the Bofa. What if there was like a melee version that worked? Not a melee version, sorry. Uh, a mage version that worked with the crystal armor. That would be pretty
Yeah,
sweet, right?
I think so. I think a mage one would be really cool to have there.
That would be kind of cool. But I have no idea either. I guess we're shooting in the dark.
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to
All
move
right.
on to Wildy? See what we can
Wildy.
think of.
Yeah. You know what would be great in the Wildy? I feel like a boss that's like kind of underloved, has been around a really long time, could do with a refresh, is the KBD. So I would love to see Echo KBD. Not only is it out of the wilderness to the point where you won't be PK'd while you're doing it, but it's possibly locked behind an instance if that is the way the Jagex go down. So I feel like KBD would be the best candidate in the Wildy, but I don't know what you think.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about KBD is it's kind of like a clean slate because there's literally
Yeah.
nothing in that fight. So they could almost
Yeah.
add like anything
Yeah.
they wanted. They can make like
Yeah.
a completely new boss, and
Yeah.
I think that's almost more fun than something like Zora, which already is pretty complicated, I think, compared to something
Yeah.
like KBD or the Mole. So
For sure. For sure. I wonder what the item would be though.
yeah, I have a big theory on this. Okay,
Oh, go for it.
I'm very very confident on this. I think it is
Oh,
going to
really?
be yes. I think it is going to be gloves that allow you to use the rev weapons anywhere. That's my current guess.
Oh.
Just like the
So
bracelet
like,
of Ethereum that you use with them. So now it's like a
yeah.
perma gloves that can be used anywhere.
That's not a bad shout, and that means that it won't have to take up like a precious relic slot or something like that. It's just like an item that you drop that can fill a slot that isn't necessarily like gonna fuck over your game plan for equipment, like gloves or in some cases maybe even a boot slot that does that. It's a good shout.
Yeah, and I think like because I mean Barrow's gloves are kind of used by most people, or like some
Mm,
kind of Barrow's gloves that just gives you a bit of everything. So this
yeah,
would give you that, but now you could open up so much of the game, and I honestly think just that change would actually make the Wildy like way more
yeah,
enticing.
yeah. That'd be great. I would love to see if when the Echo bosses and their drops are announced, I would love to see how close we are to actually getting this right. I would
Yep.
love that.
Maybe they're watching
Um,
this and they're like making it right now, just like last minute changes.
yeah, yeah. There's every chance. There's
People are
every
gonna
chance.
think we're getting the script leaked to us in
Yeah,
advance.
100%. I can assure you we are not. Um, right. Moving on. We've got Kandarin.
hmm
So you've already kind of taken a guess at this one, and you said Thermi, right?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Thermi.
What are the options really? The candidates are pretty much Kraken, um, Thermi.
I think that's it.
What else is in Kandarin?
There's like
Is
demonic
there any?
gorillas, but that doesn't really count as like a. I don't think you can make like an echo demonic gorilla
I
boss. That would be kind
that
of
would be
weird. Yeah.
crazy. That would be crazy. Yeah. So Thermi or Kraken really, and both again like KBD. There's really nothing to the fight, so you could do anything with those.
Yep. And then my guess for the weapon there, or for
Mhm.
because it doesn't have to be a weapon, it can be a gear. I
Yeah.
think a sword that could attack from range would be kind of cool,
Mm,
like a
yeah,
smoke
that would be
sword that
pretty
just
cool.
shoots the like clouds of dust or whatever.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, because I can't really think what else Kandarin is lacking. It really is lacking something to entice the melee players to get something other than an amulet of torture.
Yep.
So, like, is it going to be melee centered or is it going to be something else? I don't know. That's a
Well,
good shout, though.
one thing I saw some people saying was like they think that it could be like a necklace that combines all the necklaces, right? So you have the torture, the anguish,
Oh,
and the occult, right? And I
yeah,
was super on board with that idea, but one thing I realized with the Echo bosses is that I hope they fill in the gaps because if you already have all the best necklaces, do you really need
yeah,
a necklace that is just all the best necklaces combined? Like I
yeah,
feel like you'd rather have something that that region like needs to make
mm.
it, I guess,
Yeah.
more
I agree. I
viable and
agree.
to fill that in.
Yeah, I don't think any region needs an echo boss that supplements or like adds on something that already exists. I think it needs something totally new.
Yeah, like
And I'm
imagine
sure
adding the
yeah.
occult necklace to the desert. Like what? I was
Yeah,
like,
that would
okay,
be annoying.
do we really need that?
Yeah. I really hope now, we're going to be eating our words if that actually is a thing. I really hope it's not. We'll see.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. We got Fremy. So, in terms of like bosses that could be candidates, what have we got? We got Musper,
Well, I think we
Vorkath.
know. I think we know this one, right?
Oh
Because
wait,
it's
of course we do. Yeah, it's the Dagonoth
DK's.
Kings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the Dagonoth Kings. Yeah. I wonder what we kind of already spoke about this, didn't we? Like, is it going to be all 3 DKs? Is it just going to be Rex? And what mechanics would they have? No idea.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it's like a full, like just all 3 of them are, I guess, changed
Yeah.
in some way.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
kind of
Yeah.
like, I think the whole idea of like prayer swapping has developed a lot since the DKs came out. So, and they really make a more updated version of that with a couple other of neat things that could be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. What item do you think would come from it though?
I have no
Any
idea. This one
guesses?
I'm clueless on. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm struggling to think of anything like what Fremy is lacking, honestly. Being really honest, feels like a little bit of everything. Because if you just rely on the region, if you just rely on the gear you get from Fremy alone, you're really not going to be using much, you know? So I don't know what it could do with. Maybe it could do with some armor,
Yeah, I was thinking
you
maybe
know?
armor, or another possibility, because this is like a kind of Fremennik thing, was like a shield. Just something that gives you a lot of
Yeah.
tankiness. Or maybe like it could
Yeah.
be a chest plate or something that makes you like tanky as heck. I think
Yeah.
that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think this would be a pretty fun region for them to have like some tanky armor that reflects damage. So like they
Yeah.
bring the absolute unit relic back, but like as a equipment passive. And this would be a cool region to bring that back in because it would give Fremy again a reason to maybe not be an underdog this time. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I love that.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yep.
Where are we now?
Varlamore.
Oh, Varlamore. Nice.
It's
Go on.
weird
Who
to
do you
make
think
an
it
Echo
is?
boss because they're all kind of new anyways. So,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Like, you can't really add too many more mechanics to Perilous Moons, can you? And
no,
how
I
would you
don't think
do
you
the
can.
Echo variant there anyway? Because like it's a whole massive instance, so I don't know how that would work. I think like a good candidate for it would be the I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation. I think it's called like the Amoxliatl.
Yeah, I don't know how that's pronounced either, but I think that's
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, so
Yeah, I think it could be a good candidate because it's literally just it's a very straightforward like just keep pray mage on and avoid the things on the floor. Like that's the encounter in a nutshell. So I think it could do with like some extra stuff. In terms of what they could give Varlamore though, this is where and why I rated Varlamore so high. It has a good bit of everything. So I don't know what Varlamore is lacking other than really strong late game gear.
oh, that's
Have you
true.
got
Yeah,
any
that's a good
ideas?
point. No, that's actually a good point. I don't know what they could add, but
Yeah. I guess for Varlamore, it's kind of lacking jewelry, isn't it? Because like your only way to get jewelry is either from Karamja buying an onyx or getting really lucky in the Colosseum with an onyx, and that's as far as it goes. So I wonder if it could be, like um, a really strong necklace or something like that,
yeah, and I
because it
think that
is
would
something
go
that the region
pretty
is
well.
lacking.
Like
Yeah,
I know Perilous Moons gives you all 3 sets, so kind of
Mm.
complementing that with like a necklace that just
Yeah,
works would be sort of like a more, I guess,
that's a good
broader.
idea. That's a good idea. But there isn't anything like standing out to I think either of us for Varlamore. So
Yeah, I think it's just
let's,
because Varlamore is so new that like it feels
yeah,
like it doesn't feel outdated because it's been like
Mm.
not even a year. So
yeah,
everything
yeah,
there is good. It's like almost a standalone package. I don't think it really like super needs anything to
for sure.
make it work.
No, I agree. I agree. All right, let's move on to Morytania then, because Morytania is. I am looking at the right list. That's our combined list, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, Morytania.
Morytania is next. So, who do you think would be the Echo boss here?
Oh,
I beg that it's not the Nightmare. The Nightmare does not need
I don't
anything
think
more
so.
to
Yeah.
it. But I can't. I
We
am trying
would
to
have
think who it would be.
Nightmare, Fasani's Nightmare, the hard
Yeah,
mode of Fasani's Nightmare, and then
yeah.
the Echo version of
The
Fasani's Nightmare.
Echo
I think would
version of
be,
that.
yeah, that'd be a
Yeah.
lot.
I guess maybe a Raxor. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I think a Raxor could be kind of cool.
Although, is it even possible? Because you need a Slayer task, don't you? So with it being a Slayer boss, does that make it? Does that mean that you can't have it as a candidate? Because we've
I
just said
mean, we
Thermi as
said
well, haven't
Thermi,
we?
yeah,
So
so I think that's
yeah.
fine. And my only other
Okay.
idea was thinking like maybe Grotesque Guardians, but I think
Okay.
if I
Yeah.
had to pick, I would rather go for an Araxor Echo Boss than an
Yeah. Yeah.
um, Grotesque Guardians.
Have you done much
Barrows,
Araxor?
I don't know how that would work. So I
Yeah.
love,
Have
yeah,
you
no,
done?
I love Araxor. I
Yeah.
just think it needs like, I think it really just needs like one or two more things kind of to make it work,
Yeah.
especially with high damage output. That fight gets really
Mm.
trivialized. One
Yeah.
thing I really liked, and this is going to be, I think this is my silly prediction, but um, in the original RuneScape 3 version of Araxor, I think at the end like the his like
Araxi. Yeah.
Araxi
Yeah.
comes out, right? As like
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
mom
Yeah.
version or whatever, right? And I think
Yeah. Yeah.
that could be kind of cool if like there were just two Araxors. Like,
Yeah. For
you know what I
sure.
mean? Just literally just
Yeah.
double it and just see what happens, and it feels
Yeah.
kind of like canon to the lore. So
Yeah. Yeah. That would. I mean, I think that's just like it's all it will almost feel for me anyway, as someone that's done that on RuneScape 3, it will almost feel a little bit disappointing if they don't go down the route of like when you kill Araxor, Araxi comes down and you have to like do the fight over, but like rewards are like higher for it or whatever, or just like halfway through the kill she comes down and then the mechanics are like so much more difficult. That would be fun because I think Araxor is really enjoyable. But you're right, once you've got it down and you've got good gear, it does just become like a pretty trivial encounter, doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know what the gear piece could be though, because what is Morytania lacking? It's lacking mage, we said earlier, right? But it's
mage
also kind of lacking
for
range
sure,
as well.
and a little bit of range too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder whether it would be, like a weapon or a piece of gear that caters more to one of those two styles. Could be.
Yeah, I think something that could really work would be, because I think one of the big issues if you're going to do Theater of Blood is Nilo's room, right? Having
Yeah.
some way of dealing with those, especially as a mage. Like range, you can kind of find a way, I think, to kill him fast, but mage really does
Mm,
suffer. So
mm.
I think anything that would help Nilo's room, because that to me is like the biggest thing. Especially if you are trying to solo Theater of Blood, that's your biggest like pain point right there. Is
Yeah.
having like that is not even in leagues, it's not a fun
Yeah.
experience if you're
Not
still kind of new to that room. It's pretty
for
damn
sure.
tricky. So
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of sucked last league, actually. Guardian was so good for that, the Guardian relic, but I won't
yeah,
get into that because we don't know if that's coming back.
but just something that I think that
Okay.
helps that like pain area.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. Let's move on. We've got 3 left. So
Yep.
Asgarnia. Cerberus, maybe? Do we think?
Um, I'm thinking the mole. I want it to be the mole.
You thinking mole?
Yeah,
Because I
because
was just kidding around earlier saying, like, you can get to the mole as soon as you've got, like, an unlit torch, a tinderbox, and a spade. Like, you could get there early, you know?
yeah. So
So that would be kind of
here's
cool.
my kind of idea with the mole. Right, is how do you usually do the mole? Right, you Darox bomb it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine if it just has tons of damage stuff, but it's all avoidable. So you could still hit it with like
Okay.
Darox, but there's just like mud flying everywhere that you have to
Yeah.
dodge, like just
That
things
could
like
be a
that.
that could be a good shout. And I feel like because Asgarnia has really strong late game options, I wonder if you're right, they pick the mole, which is a super early game accessible boss. Like, do they just put the Echo boss in really early and make its rewards like cater more to like the mid game? So that picking Asgarnia as a first region doesn't feel as slow to progress to like God Wars. Like you could get your stuff from Mole and move on to the harder content there. That would
I
be
know
really cool.
I know you value a lot of like basically the strength of a first region, and I think
Yeah.
Asgarnia, in my opinion, is a terrible first region for that reason.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you could actually start killing the mole early, getting some cool stuff like that, that could be kind of cool. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That'd be really cool. In terms of whether it would be anything else, though, I don't think it would be anything in God Wars. It's not
No,
going to
I
be
don't.
next.
Nah, I don't think it would be any of those.
It would suck
Um,
if it was next, but I think the only other candidate for it really is Cerberus, isn't it?
for me, the big kind of thing is I remember Cerberus is another one of those instance spot, or its lack of an instance like in
Yeah.
Thermi, and I think this could be a good way to sort of fix that with the technology and I guess patch up that pain point for a lot of people.
Yeah. The thing with Cerberus as well is when you actually like boil down Cerberus, there are a lot of mechanics. They're all kind of slow and telegraphed. But there are actually a lot of mechanics to Cerberus when you break it down. And I don't know if like adding another one in there is necessarily needed. So I think you're right. I don't think it's going to be Cerberus. I think it will be the mole. But it'd be interesting to see what they did if they did pick Cerberus.
Yep.
Okay, onto the desert. We already know the desert, so we don't need to speculate.
Yeah, this is kind of free for us, and I think
It's
we
kind of
already
free for us.
speculated the weapon too, right? It's
Yeah.
going to be a like a blowpipe style,
Yeah.
not exactly a blowpipe, but something similar from the Calphite Queen. So
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I think that'd be cool, and
I
it would
like
just
that a
go with the
lot.
parts.
Yeah, because I remember
Yeah,
that like back in Leagues 2, when everybody was really hyped about the blowpipe, it was like,
yeah,
oh, blowpipe's cool, but you have to go to the desert to get darts.
yeah,
And like nobody wanted to do the desert
yeah,
back then. So
yeah,
it feels like that like redemption arc for the
yeah, for
blowpipe.
sure. The desert just went from being like absolutely unvalued in Leagues 2 to being like one of the top regions in Leagues 4, and it might be that again because this is making up for a weakness of the desert. So that's why we've got it quite high up in the list. And then last we've got Zeah.
What do you think it's going to be?
I think it has to be Sarachnis. I don't think there's anything else it could be. It's either going to be Sarachnis or it'd be really interesting to see if the Lizardman Shamans down in the temples could be made as like an Echo Boss variant. I don't know. They're the only two options I can think of, though. Really,
Yeah, wait, I actually
unless
love the idea of like a super beefy Lizardman Shaman version.
yeah,
That would be like kind of fun.
yeah, or
Kandarin could
just
almost get that with the Demonic Gorilla, but yeah, that would
exactly,
be
yeah.
kind of
That's what I
cool.
mean. They're kind of similar. And I guess one thing we haven't spoke about or considered is whether or not these echo bosses might actually take the form of any of the skilling bosses, you know? Like what if we get like an echo boss Wintertod? I'm not saying that will happen, but like or an echo boss Temporos or, echo boss Zalcano for Tirranwn. It's totally possible. I don't see it necessarily happening because they are skilling encounters, but
Oh, I think it would be
maybe.
so funny though. You have like the Echo Winter Tot, and it's just all the changes reverted, and you're back to taking damage from it again, and
That's
that's
it.
the only thing.
Warm clothing just doesn't work.
Yeah, it
That's
just
it.
doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be quite interesting. But I think it has to be Sarachnis. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Sarachnis, that makes sense to me. Kind of like very similar to the others. It's got a lot of, I think, room for design and stuff like that, and especially those. I think those bosses that sort of get like trivialized with good gear, where you're just
Mm,
killing them before like a single
yeah,
spider comes out. Like,
yeah,
those are the bosses that I think not only could do with more mechanics, but just having a bit more stats would
yeah,
still make them like pretty interesting and not just like a complete joke when you just start like whomping them with like 70s 80s and whatnot.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing about Sarachnis. Like, I'd never done it before. I picked Zeah as a last region on my mage playthrough. And by that point, I had the shadow, and I just walked into the Sarachnis room, and that was it. It was just gone every time it came up. So yeah, I think that's a good candidate for an Echo Boss variant.
What do you think
As for the
about
gear,
any?
though,
Yeah, what do you think about any items from Sarachnis?
I think it's really difficult because I genuinely think Zeah has a lot of really good stuff. But maybe the one style that I would like to see maybe a drop from Zeah for uh, might be like a melee item, because I feel like ranged is pretty good there. Um, but I just don't know what it would be, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think if I had like one wish, it would be. I almost like don't think this would work with Sarachnis, but like I wish that the Echo item was like a Dragon Hunter Lance, basically, like you could complete it or something
Yeah,
like that. Like
yeah.
because I think it does kind of suck that like Zeah has the Dragon Hunter Lance, but you can't really
Mm,
use it without also needing, I think, Kandarin and Asgarnia, which is like who gets all three of those? That's
yeah,
that's a
that's
lot.
true. I
Um,
wonder if I mean this is a long shot, but the Dragon Warhammer, right? Like it feels like it's not as good as it used to be. Other kind of options have kind of caught up to it, and now we've got the Colosseum defense layer and stuff as well.
and also Elder
Um,
Maul too, right? From
and Eldermore,
Chambers.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's kind of like dying down as something that's even considered as a necessity anymore. I would be really interested to see if Jagex could bring in an Echo boss reward that kind of like buffs either a certain attack style or a certain type of weapon. like, oh, while you're using X type of weapon, you do bonus damage or have bonus accuracy, and it makes the Dragon Warhammer totally viable as like a main hand weapon. I
Yeah,
know
what
it's
if
probably unlikely, but it would be cool.
Yeah, I've been thinking for a while it'd be cool to have almost something that buffs like two-handers as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then things like maybe like Dragon Claws could be even sicker, or like maybe the
yeah,
Elder
exactly.
Maul becomes your new like weapon. You just walk around bonking everything with
Yeah,
that.
that would be
So
insane. And it's one thing that I really didn't like about Leagues 4 was that even with the special attacking weapons like the Elder Maul and the Claws, they weren't even as good as like the early options. Like the DDS, I'm pretty sure was better than both of those.
yeah,
And
exactly.
like, don't get me wrong, it's great. The DDS was great and it was so much fun. But I just think like, why go for those items, those big ticket items, if they're not going to be rewarding to go for, you know?
Yeah.
So
Maybe
yeah,
something that
interesting.
buffs crush if we're thinking Sarachnis,
Yeah,
like a huge crush
yeah,
or not
yeah.
maybe not a weapon, but something that makes that stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess it's really hard to speculate on these things because we could say anything, right? But I think some of these regions are easier to pick out what they're lacking than others. And I feel like Zeah is one of those regions where I just think like it's just a good all rounder. It's hard to think what it could be.
Oh, I think though the idea of like running around with like the Dragon Warhammer, because those remind me of like
Yeah.
those toy like boingy hammers. Like I think
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah,
running around
exactly.
with one of those would be pretty
Yeah.
dang cool.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. I think that's it. We've been through
Yeah,
everything.
that's it. We went through a lot, so a
Damn,
lot of good stuff here.
nice. Hell yeah. Well, that's sweet. There's our list. I'm gonna like bring that up. Um, yeah, if you disagree, if you think that anything should be different on there, I'd love to see your case. I'm sure Double Shine would love to see what you guys
Oh
have got
yeah,
to
I
say as
love
well.
arguing with people about this stuff.
Oh goddamn. There you go. And there's a lot of discussion going on in the official league's Discord too, so get in on some of that. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Although it would be really fun to come back and spend like, 15
Yeah,
minutes reviewing this after we
yeah,
see everything and just seeing like how just wildly wrong we were
yeah.
about
Oh,
the
100% it will
Wildy.
happen, right? Like people will watch this back after it's already been confirmed to be like, these guys are
I don't
absolute
know what they're
idiots.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, crazy. But it's been fun, man. It's been fun talking through this with you, and I can't wait till we find out more information. I think it's going to be coming, any day of any week now. Big pieces of information are going to start coming through.
Oh yeah, I think November's going to be Leaks full season, so
Yeah,
I'm very
yeah,
excited on that.
yeah. Have you got any videos in the pipeline for Leagues 5 that you want to kind of like shout
Um
out, talk about?
well, I'm doing the relic tier list right now, which is
Yeah.
probably going to be out before this video now that I think about it.
Oh,
The
nice. Yeah.
other one that I would like to do, and I'm not sure when that is, I'm actually making like I'm trying to see if I can get like community ideas on like what relics they think could come out.
Oh,
A
okay.
couple new ones. I
Like a
guess I'll
relic
like
speculation type thing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Because I
cool.
got a couple of like interesting ones. And then other than that, I'm probably just gonna go through some of the changes coming because I know a lot of
Yeah.
people are leagues players only. So I
Yeah.
felt like last year I did some of the deep dives, and I don't feel like I want to do like a whole rundown of every single region again, but just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
changes and some of that
Yeah.
stuff. And then I think definitely when Echo Bosses comes out, that's like that's a lot more attention for me because
Yeah.
that's the coolest thing for me that I'm most excited about, and it's probably going to
Yeah.
influence my decision a lot.
I don't think you're alone. I think that's going to influence everyone's decision. And I would be really excited to know if we're thinking too small or not, Like it would be insane if when we see these Echo Boss reveals, the mechanics and the loot, that actually we were thinking like this and they're like this. So yeah, I can't wait for whenever that information will come out. And I hope we get it ahead of leagues and they don't leave it up as like a total mystery. Um, so we'll see. That will definitely influence everyone's decisions, I'm sure.
I think one thing you brought
That's
up,
cool.
especially and like why I think some of these regions are almost meaningless, is that like you
Yeah.
are just so strong in leagues now that it doesn't really matter what your best style
Yeah.
or your best like
Yeah.
gear is. For me, I think I'm just gonna pick what three bosses sound the most fun to kill because that's like
100%.
that is the coolest part about leagues is like
Yeah.
whole brand new content. Like yeah,
That's the best
I'm
advice
sold.
you could give. That is literally the best advice you could give is pick the content that you find fun. Because at the end of the day, I think that we're all a bit guilty of thinking efficiently or wanting to do things efficiently. But actually just picking back and picking a region that you enjoy the content in is the best thing that you can do. So I'll be doing the same. And I hope that at some point we've got the same raid region so that we can do some raids together. But
Oh yeah,
we'll
I'll
see.
be
We'll see.
I'll be seeing where I end up. I wish I could tell people because I know other people are curious, but I do not know because
It'll
I think
change.
all the raid
Yeah.
regions are so good right now.
Yeah. 100%. Like a lot of people have asked me like what regions I'm picking, and I could say one thing now. It'll probably be wildly different in 2 weeks. So
Oh yeah, I wish I
Yeah.
could tell people it's the desert, but like I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
It was Morytania 3 days ago,
Yeah.
and now I'm like,
Oh, there you go.
I'm confused. So
There you go. Sick. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing those videos, dude. And it's been great talking to you.
yeah, what about you? Any
Um,
upcoming plans?
Oh yeah,
What are
I
you gonna be
mean,
up to?
there's a few Leagues Fight videos kind of in the pipeline, but I had originally said I kind of shot myself in the foot because I told everyone, probably watching this video, that I was going to do a deep dive of some of the regions, and I am still going to do that, but in a different way because it's not going to be like a full area guide for every area. I just don't think enough has changed from last year in all the other regions. There's some minor changes to some of the regions, and Varlamore is a new one. But I don't think enough has changed for me to do like a full breakdown on every area. So I've got a couple videos coming. There'll be like a classic Leagues 5 like tips video. I think everyone's got good opinions to give about that, and they're generally pretty good. So a tips video. I've already spoke about it loads in this video, but like you pointed it out, one thing that I do think is one of my favorite things to theory craft is what is the best first region choice. So that is something I'm currently working on. And that'll be a fun one to put out as well, as kind of like what regions are the best first picks, you know?
Yeah.
But that's it. That's it pretty much. And then it will all just depend on teasers and what information we get.
All right. Well, looking forward to seeing all that
Yeah, man.
coming down.
Yeah, man. It'll be good. It'll be good stuff. But yeah, thanks for getting together with me today, man, and doing this. It's been super fun. And I hope we get to play some Leagues 5 together.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah. Oh my God. Doing raids with everybody now that everybody's
Yeah.
getting purples. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be great.
Yep.
It's going to be great.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to make like 3 accounts to go to every single region. Cause
I definitely am.
know, like what can you do? What can you do? There's new content everywhere now. It's so much fun.
Yeah. No, I definitely will be playing on multiple accounts. I think I always pick the first account is kind of me thinking like, oh, what am I passionate about? Like based on the information that's out there, what is like getting me really excited? And then my second playthrough is always like, right, what's the meme build this year?
Mhm.
You know, like, is it door build? Like, what's it going to be this year? I don't know. I will have to wait for the relic information, but my second account will definitely be meme build, whatever it is. And that'll be something that I'll build up and hopefully have some fun on. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
I think
dude.
that's it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, dude. Good to chat to you, and I will catch you soon.